I think many will agree that the biggest monster of all time is war. However, throughout the centuries, soldiers have reported real monsters present in the theater of war. Some experienced fighters even claim they were driven to real panic when they had to encounter mystical creatures that shouldn't exist in reality. Hello, you're on the NSK Show channel, and today we'll talk precisely about 5 mystical phenomena happening on the battlefield. Rock apes. Of all the observations of mysterious beings in wartime, no case is detailed as much as the rock apes of Vietnam. Throughout the war in that country, soldiers on both sides regularly encountered large bipedal apes in dense jungles. But the most horrifying aspect was that officially, wild apes do not inhabit Vietnam. It turns out that long before the war, there were ancient local legends about these mysterious creatures. The locals called them forest people or Batutans, even assigning them various names. It's said they were muscular bipedal beings with ape-like skulls, standing about 2 meters tall, covered in reddish-brown fur except for their knees, the soles of their feet, hands, and faces. They were believed to be highly aggressive towards ordinary people. However, the most interesting part was that while the locals considered these beings a reality, the outside world was unaware of the existence of these Batutans. That continued until the war penetrated their presumed habitat. Among American soldiers, these creatures were known as rock apes, presumably because of their tendency to throw stones at soldiers. One of them, serving as a commander in the 101st Airborne Division in 1968 and 1969, recounted seeing numerous reddish-brown rock apes around the A Show Valley. Another account comes from Michael Kelly, who served from 1969 to 1970. In 2000, he described an event where 8 rock apes attacked his platoon, resulting in gunfire. Initially thinking the mysterious apes were enemies, the shooting was incessant, and the creatures retreated behind trees. Despite the numerous shots fired, when the soldiers searched the mystical spot, not a single drop of blood was found. What it truly was is hard to tell, and it seems the answer to this puzzle will remain deeply hidden in the dense jungles of Vietnam, at least for now. Monster of Afghanistan. A relatively recent report about monster sightings during wartime came from an anonymous member of a U.S. Army Special Forces unit tracking Taliban movements in the mountains of Afghanistan. Their objective was to observe a village for several days, hoping to witness suspicious activities or gain information leading to a successful raid. Interestingly, the team did witness suspicious activity, but not the kind they had anticipated. Technical problems immediately plagued the soldiers, hampering radio communication due to static electricity. As some team members split to find better signals, they spotted a figure in white robes running among the rocks beyond the village. It became evident that they were being watched. Panic intensified as a small, exposed unit found themselves without means of communication. Now shrouded in darkness, the team donned night vision goggles and headed back to their main base. However, the danger of the night was far from over. One witness recounted, "What happened next terrified us deeply. No, of course, hallucinations happen sometimes, but not to everyone on the team simultaneously. What happened to them was beyond understanding." From one soldier's account, it was revealed that at first, there was a loud, deep rumbling akin to that of a massive plane. Then it abruptly ceased. Wherever they looked, they saw glowing eyes. Yet whenever they focused on the object, it vanished. I tell you, each one of us was in a panic. We all had our guns ready, expecting some kind of attack or ambush. And, well, the only things I could hear at that moment were my breathing and the pulse pounding in my head. At that moment, the team realized that someone intended to harm them. In a moment, they saw the silhouette of a man dressed in bright clothing slowly approaching them. According to witnesses, the way he moved was unnatural. It seemed like he passed through all obstacles in his path, as if they were made of air. After a loud hiss, he vanished. The soldiers made it back to base successfully, only to learn the next morning that on the same night, the village they had been observing was attacked, resulting in numerous casualties. Official military reports stated it was a successful operation carried out by their soldiers. But the unit members are convinced it was some vengeful, mystical force. What did people see that night? What happened to the village? Most likely, these questions will remain unknown facts. Icenocephaly. The Langobards were a powerful Germanic tribe that ruled most of Italy from the 6th to the 8th century AD. Once, Paul the Deacon recounted an incredible story, transcribed from his words. During one of their military confrontations, the Langobard leader concocted a plan. He spread the rumor that among his allies were packs of wild beasts with dog heads, fiercely waging war, drinking human blood, and destroying themselves if they couldn't defeat the enemy. The opposing army, unwilling to fight such a foe, simply surrendered. Of course, today we understand it was an outright lie. But back then, there was a firm belief in a race of humans with dog heads. Various ancient Greek writers, including the father of history, Herodotus, wrote about dog-headed people living in the mountains of India and Ethiopia. They were called by different names: cynocephaly, cynocephalos, psoglavchi, dog-heads, and so forth. Even the Greek physician and historian Ctesias had this to say about this race. You know, they don't speak the common language. They bark like dogs and communicate in this manner. Their teeth are much larger than those of dogs, and their claws resemble sharp swords, and by the way, they cannot be defeated in war. Even in the legend of King Arthur, it was said that he defeated a great army of dogmen on the hill of Edinburgh. Several medieval scholars also claim to have witnessed these dogs. In his book Travels, Marco Polo described an encounter with them on the Andaman Islands. Whether these were truthful notes or just fantastic fiction, that's for you to decide. The Chickamauga Monster. The Battle of Chickamauga, fought from September 19th to 20th, 1863, near Snodgrass Hill on the Tennessee-Georgia border, was one of the most horrifying in the history of the American Civil War. This led to the belief that the field of this dreadful battle drew some vengeful mystical creature. Witnesses described the entity as a monster, resembling a human but with dreadful green eyes and a huge deformed jaw, protruding terrifying fangs. For centuries after the Civil War, visitors and park rangers at Chickamauga National Park shared encounters with the same green-eyed entity. Some claim it's the ghost of a long-dead warrior, while others believe it's something inhuman. The story associated with Edward Tinney, a park ranger, is particularly shocking. In a 1981 interview, he described walking through the park at around 4 a.m. and suddenly feeling an inexplicable chill. Then, he saw a green-eyed creature, and here's how he described the event. As it passed by me, I saw it had hair like a woman. The eyes... I'll never forget those eyes. They were glowing, almost orangish green, like a wild animal's, and the teeth were pointed like fangs. I didn't know what to do: run, freeze, scream, or stay silent. But then I saw the headlights of an approaching car, and the creature vanished. Unfortunately, like many other sightings of unknown creatures during war, the original descriptions of the sparkling green eyes have become unclear and largely lost over time. Flying humanoids. In the Pacific theater of World War II, troops reported strange flying humanoids. It's said these beings, possessing a pair of large bat-like membranous wings, were repeatedly spotted near military installations. Witnesses felt an unsettling sense that these unearthly beings were somehow observing them. Many of the supposed sightings date back to the Battle of Okinawa in 1945, but these aren't the only instances. Years later, soldiers continued to report humanoid flights in the Pacific Ocean. One such case, reported by U.S. Air Force Private Sinclair Taylor in 1952 at Camp Akuba near Kyoto, described a strange winged creature he began shooting at, but it disappeared. Even more peculiar, Taylor wasn't the sole witness. A sergeant confirmed seeing a similar creature a year prior. What do you think of this? Share your thoughts in the comments below the video. Despite everything, the true nature of the flying humanoid creatures in Japan remains an enigma. That's all for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.